What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Swarthy Wizard for the $50 donation via the PayPal. He says, I asked me a question. As far as my opinion, who is the better defensive player? Shane Battier, Bruce Bowen, or Mr. Draymond Green? Well, I mean, first of all, we can easily establish that even though I don't like this dude, the better and more accomplished player is Draymond Green. Okay, I mean, just the resume alone confirms that. He has a varied skill set than others. You could argue that in addition to his playmaking and passing and his ability to excuse me, and his ability to guard in the post, whereas the other two are more perimeter oriented defenders, his versatility on defense. Draymond Green in this era, in his prime at least, was able to guard 1 through 5. I would argue, and I don't like Draymond Green. You guys know this. I can't stand him. But in his prime, which I would say his peak years, 2014 to 2019, I say. In those peak years, I would say that Draymond was up there with, Bill Russell as far as versatility. And this is an era, where there's a lot of switching. So that makes him very valuable. This is one of the things that used to annoy me with Steph Curry fans back in the day. And it still annoys me to a certain extent because they still do it. I don't like how retroactively Steph Curry gets all this credit for the Golden State Warriors championships. It's like there's a memory lapse when it comes to some Curry fans because they think that Steph Curry just came into the NBA and the Warriors just started winning automatically. Don't get me wrong, he was an all-star level player when healthy from the get-go. Even back when he was teamed up with Monta Ellis. But they didn't really start becoming the Warriors until they got Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. You know what I mean? And that bench got shorn up. That's when they started becoming the Warriors. Now, to be fair, Steph Curry is a totally different player than he was back in 2012. But, you know, you had a combination of Draymond Green. He's a tweener. You know, back in the day, I'm not even sure Draymond would have lasted in the NBA because of his size. What is he, 6'5", 230? I always make a comparison between him and Byron Houston. You know, Byron Houston was a tweener, meaning that he didn't quite fit into playing the center position because he was too short. But he didn't quite fit playing into the power forward position or small forward position because a lot of those players offensively, they tend to have a lot of quickness. And I'm not sure if Draymond Green would have flourished in the 1990s because it was more positional. He'd have been too short to play center and pretty much power forward. But in this era, where I always say all the time that you have power forwards, stretch forwards masquerading as centers, well, his disadvantage at height oftentimes is not as pronounced. You know what I mean? And with everything pushed out to the perimeter as today's basketball is, it helps to have a guy who can make up, who has the foot speed and the lateral quickness to be able to shorten down the court, or the half court, I should say. You know what I'm saying? To be able to recover. Whereas 20 years ago, centers and power forwards, as far as defense, I mean, you pretty much was patrolling the paint. You know what I mean? But as far as their resumes are concerned, let's start with Shane Battier. Shane Battier, of course, those of us remember, he's a Dookie. And he came out of Duke, what was it, 2001, a 6th overall pick in that draft. Selected by the then Vancouver Grizzlies. He played 13 years in the NBA, small forward position. Played 5 years with the Memphis Grizzlies. His best years were probably with the Houston Rockets. Played 5 seasons there. And then he finished his career with the Miami Heat. And he's a 2-time NBA champion with the Miami Heat. 2-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team. NBA All-Rookie First Team. All right. That's his NBA resume. But he was he was in college a very, what's what I'm looking for? Celebrated, I guess. He was a very celebrated collegiate player. As far as career averages, 8.6 points, 4.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists. And as far as international stage, representing the United States, Team USA, they won the bronze in the FIBA World Championship in Japan 2006. And they won the gold at the Goodwill Games in 2001 in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Such his resume. Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen was drafted. Actually, he was undrafted, back in 1993. Undrafted. First couple of years, for the first 4 years of his professional career, he played overseas. He played in France in those pro leagues. Then he played in the CBA. It wasn't until 1997 that he appeared on the Miami Heat. Matter of fact, I remember when I first seen Bruce Bowen. It was on that 96-97 team with the Heat team that won 61 games that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost 5 to the Bulls. I saw him for the first time as a player that they signed. May have been to like I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 10-day contract, or maybe it wasn't. But I know it's the first time I saw him was Miami, coming off the bench for that team. I think their starter was Rashawn Leonard. Then he played a couple years with the Boston Celtics, played 1 season with the Sixers, 1 season with the Heat, but then he found a home with the Spurs. And that's where you could argue in the mid-2000s, just behind Ron Artest, he was the premier perimeter defender in the NBA, along with Ron Artest. Ben Wallace was the premier defender and premier post defender. His resume: 3-time NBA champion, 5-time NBA All-Defensive First Team selections, 3 times NBA All-Defensive Second Team selections. Number 12 retired by the San Antonio Spurs. Career averages 6.1 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.2 assists per game. One of the things I remember about Bruce Bowen, a couple things that pop in my head. I remember that he was dirty, but he was great. And he played Kobe better than consistently. In his prime, he played Kobe Bryant better than anybody I can think of. Now, yeah, Tayshaun Prince had a magnificent 2004 finals effort on Kobe. We all know that. But consistently, in the mid-2000s, Bruce Bowen played Kobe Bryant better than I've seen anybody. Now, of course, you're not going to stop Kobe. But he made life tougher for Kobe. Although I do know that Kobe has praised, I think, what is it, Raja Bell, was it? I know he's praised him. But the thing I remember about Bruce Bowen was if Kobe scored 40 points, Kobe might have took 35, 38 shots to get it. And it's not a knock on Kobe. I'm just saying he had to work harder for those points. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Bowen, and a lot of guys thought Bruce Bowen was dirty, undercutting them, just as still when guys could put their hands on guys. You couldn't hand check anymore, but you could, use your elbow to guide them, and you still could do certain things. Remember 90, I think it was 78, 79 is when the league technically outlawed hand checking, but the officials hadn't really enforced it. The game really hadn't enforced it. So for another 15 years, guys were still hand checking because it was hard to really catch it. Especially the officials couldn't see it. But it was after, I think around the time the Rockets won their last championship, is when they really started enforcing it. Then guys couldn't do it anymore, but they still got around. They still, like I said, use their elbows, use their physicality to still make it difficult. One of the problems I hated is when they finally outlawed the physicality, the league started trying to make examples out of these guys. One of the players that they started making an example out of was Bruce Bowen. Now all of a sudden, Bruce Bowen is being physical. They're calling fouls on him. You know what I'm saying? They're calling fouls on him. And, guys like him and Ron Test, to be still valuable on the team, because they still could play defense, but it was more difficult. It was more about using your head and your heart and your guts and your instincts. And it helped to be more valuable offensively now. So then you start seeing guys like Bruce Bowen, who was not a good shooter, and was a terrible free throw shooter, but inexplicably, Bruce Bowen became a great three-point shooter, in particular shooting threes to corners, if I remember. Ron Test never really became a great three-point shooter. He could get a little streaky and make them, but anyway, Draymond Green is the better player, man. I mean, I don't like the dude, bro, but I'd be on some straight cap if I was saying that he wasn't better. So 4-time NBA champion, 4-time NBA All-Star, All-NBA second team 2016, All-NBA third team 2017. The Defensive Player of the Year award wins it for him anyway. NBA Defensive Player of the Year 2017, 4-time NBA All-Defensive first team, 4-time NBA All-Defensive second team. Led the league in steals in 2017. That's his NBA resume. And he won, I believe, 2 Olympic gold medals, 2016 and 2020. I mean, so I have to go with Draymond Green, man. I know it sounds weird coming from me, but it's Draymond Green. Now, offensively, he ain't shit. And I still don't think he's a Hall of Famer. But, I mean, the way that they lowering the bar and the way that he's ingratiated himself with the media, he's going to get in. But, look, Draymond Green, the way that he can combine the enforcer role, the enforcer mentality, although today's NBA is soft as hell, but so in comparison, though, he has all the intangibles, man. I hate giving this dude praise, man, but he has the enforcer mentality. He can be physical, he can be dirty, but he's still a good defender. Even today, he's still good, but it's just not what he once was. When he was in his prime, he was perfect for the Golden State Warriors system. He's one of the best ever in his prime at switching. He played elite defense from the three-point line all the way to the basket. Great on-ball defender. All these guys are great on-ball defenders. great pressure defender. Unlike Battier and Bowen, Draymond also excelled, as I said earlier, in being an elite defender in the post. He was great at, as I said earlier, getting steals, which is something that Bruce Bowen and Battier didn't really do too much of. They were more pressure defenders, swiping at the ball maybe, but not necessarily, more disrupting your rhythm type defenders. Draymond did that, but also he was great at getting in the passing lanes and steals and things like that. Draymond is a great help defender. And then also what makes Draymond stand out in his prime is that in today's era, it's more about communication and team defense rather than just individual defenders excelling in the positional aspect of basketball. You know what I mean? So Draymond's the better leader. So, you know, I gotta give it to Draymond Green, man. I gotta give it to Draymond Green on this one, man. And I hate doing that, but it is what it is. But me personally, I enjoyed watching Bruce Bowen more because I don't know why. Because you could argue post defense is more impactful. You know what I'm saying? But you could also make an argument that Bruce Bowen had to guard consistently the most talented players. And we know that the NBA's most talented offensive players over the past 25 years have more or less been perimeter guys. So that's a feather in Bruce Bowen's cap. And I also still want to reiterate something. I believe that if Draymond played 30 years ago or 25 years ago, even 20 years ago, he would still be a good defender, but he would struggle with the size of playing some of these other guys. Like, look, don't get me wrong. He played good defense against Jokic in 2022, was it? I think it was. Let me see something. I think it was 2022, that series. Let me see. Nuggets. Was it Nuggets? Warriors? Let me make sure of that. Yeah, that's the year they won a championship. Okay, now in that series, Draymond averaged 9.6 points, 5.4 rebounds, 7.4 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.6 blocks. His offensive stats are not really relevant from defense. Now, he played good defense on Jokic, right? He did. But Jokic, in 34 minutes played, still averaged 31 points, 13.2 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1 block. What I'm saying is, Draymond's size still poses a problem, man. If this was the NBA of the past when you had Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett and a prime Rasheed Wallace, he had to go against guys like Karl Malone and Charles Barkley and all. He would have his moments, but in that era where it was more about guarding your position and the physicality of the league, and you had real enforcers, then Draymond's Green defense would still be good, but it wouldn't stand out as much, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you got those guys that were so big back then, man, you know, because the pace of the game was slower. You know, you had some behemoths back then, man, you know what I'm saying? Derek Coleman, and Xavier McDaniel, and Anthony Mason, and Charles Oakley. You know. But anyway, that's just my opinion, man. So by default, I say Draymond Green. Come to you guys now.